Hi folks, this is a teeny tiny demo of the conditional form functionality in scope of PandaDoc workflow. I'm going to show you a little demo of how the conditional form works first, and then we will go into setting up the conditional form rules and what actions and conditions are available to you when you set those rules. Let's start with running a workflow. In my particular case, I have question 1 and question 2. And if I input any numerical values in question 1 and question 2, I will see the question 3 appear. At this point, I can click next, but if I enter a particular combination of question 1, 2, and 3, I will see another question. Let's check. So the height of the door is going to be 5 meters. Width will remain the same, it's 1. And I'm selecting single door. And there is a fourth question, do you need a custom project? And I can select yes or no. So let's see how do you configure this conditional form. You go into the Forms tab, and you have this rules icon on the form as a whole as well as on every question. And if you go into the form rules, you see the form rules. They execute in the order stated from top to bottom. So my first rule says if the height of the door is empty, so we are checking the contents of this question. Here are the operators available for checking what's inside this question. Or if width of the door is empty, so if any of the questions is empty, then we are going to hide question 3. All of the questions are also available to you from the drop-down. I can also change the operator for this, so I can set, for example, and in this case, we are going to check that both questions are empty. This is my rule number 1. My rule number 2 is if height of the door is not empty and width of the door is not empty, we're going to show. Please select door type. This is one way to write such rules. But actually, and this is a very efficient rule writing practice, the question state by default is being shown. So we can merge those two rules into one and write a more efficient rule. Let's do this. So I'm writing that the height of the door is not empty and width of the door is not empty, and I'm writing an empty action, well, which means do nothing. Execute the default behavior, which means show the field. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna write the else statement. This is a statement that will execute if these conditions are not met. And here I'm going to write height question. Please select door type. I'm gonna save the rule. We're gonna name it show door type U. Save it again. And at this point, we can safely delete the first two rules and drag the new rule so it executes first. Another rule states that if you have value greater than 2, again, this is our comparison operator here, and width of the door is greater than 2 as well, we are going to hide the option single door. So single doors are not available for the doors of huge dimensions. Here's what this section does. So we can not only show questions and hide questions, we can also show options and hide options in the questions where you are allowed to select the single option or multiple options. That is drop-downs, checkboxes, and radio buttons. So here's how this is handled. We have checked this rule, and now our last rule. So we are checking that the single door is selected in question 3, equal, and we can select one of the options. Single door is selected here, and height of the door is greater than 4. So we are checking these two, and now you already know what happens in the then part. We write nothing in the then action because the show is the default action, but we hide question if the conditions are not met. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm gonna add an action in the then part. We do show the question by default, and you don't need to write an action in the then part for it, but there is another thing that we can add here. You can set the default value of "do you need a custom project" to yes. This way, when we run the form the next time and we fill in the first 3 questions in such a way that the 4th question appears, it will be pre-filled with yes. You can write several actions in one rule if they correspond to the same set of conditions. So again, I could have written show question, do you need a custom project, and set the default value for it to yes. But I don't need to do it because show question is the default behavior for a question. Instead, I'm using the else section. Saving, closing, let's test it. Height of the door, width of the door. We see the 3rd question appear, we select single door. But as we know, the height of the door needs to be more than 4 to show the 4th question. I'm gonna write 6 here, select single door. You see that when I change the numbers in the previous question and our subsequent question disappears, it also clears the selection. This is what will happen if you edit this form dynamically in the order that is different from the order of the questions. So height of the door is 8, width of the door is 1. I'm selecting single door, and I see my "do you need a custom project" question pre-filled with yes. This is what I expected from the form, and this is what the rules I have written are for. Hope that it will help you build more beautiful and coherent forms.